guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I wanted to teach you how you can learn Russian just like I did. So yeah, let's get started. The first point I want to address is the alphabet and the handwriting. So Russian uses the Cyrillic alphabet, which is this here, and there's two different types of how you can write. One is the cursive, of course, which looks like this. Now, this, some recommend learning it in the beginning. I wouldn't say it's crucial. I didn't learn it in the beginning. And then there's just this writing, the normal one. I personally use this one and not the cursive because I feel like the cursive is just like going to confuse you even more, especially because this letter turns to this. Yeah. And this one to this. So you can do what you want, but those are the basics. And you'll learn the alphabet pretty fast, like in less than a week. I learned it in maybe like 3 days or something like that. So you'll learn it pretty fast. Point number 2 is vocabulary. Now, there's a lot of people who are like, yeah, no, don't use flashcards or whatever they're called. And I have to agree. I wouldn't use flashcards in general where you have one word on one side and then the translation on the other side. A way more effective way to learn vocabulary is by you taking relevant words that you know you will need and you will use on a daily basis, or words that you hear during videos, and then you write them down. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna write a phrase to it. You're gonna learn that phrase. So that is learning vocabulary in context. When you learn vocabulary in context, it will stick in your head way better than if you only learn it isolated. Like at school, for example, when you have French and you have to learn French vocabulary for a test, they always use flashcards, and students never create phrases out of them and everything. So if you would ask a student, what does X word mean in the span of a week, they wouldn't know it anymore because they didn't learn the word in context. So context is really, really important, and I recommend you always learn vocabulary in context and never isolate it because it will just stick way better. Now, before you even start learning the more complicated vocabulary, make sure that in the first 2 weeks at least, you learn like the basic vocabulary of the language, like hello, how are you doing, what's your name, where are you from, which in Russian would be either здравствуйте or привет, как дела, как тебя зовут, откуда ты, and so on and so forth. So definitely those basics, and then also maybe like the numbers from 1 to 10, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So those, and any other vocabulary you will need, like for example, directions, easy vocabulary like kniga, book, or город for city, or вода for water, и так далее, and so on. Next point is Russian pronunciation. When I first started learning Russian, I saw the O and I thought the O is like just like in any other language, you say O. So the sentence here, I thought you would say я говорю по-русски, but that is not the case. Russian has something called stress, and O is only pronounced O when the stress hits the O. So this would be pronounced as я говорю по-русски. See, all A, the O turned to A's. That is something you will have to learn with every new vocabulary word you learn. And you have to remember that because sometimes some words they're spelled the same, but the stress is on different syllables, so it becomes a whole different word. And I'll put some here so you can kind of see them. It can become a whole different word. Okay, now let's come to Russian grammar. So Russian, first of all, I want to address the verbs, because when I started, everyone like told me, yeah, Russian has verbs, it makes sense. But no one told me is that there is the совершенный вид и несовершенный вид. It's like the one where the action is ongoing, and then one where the action will either happen or has already passed, and they will be conjugated differently. So, for example, if I want to say, I am thinking, я думаю, I was thinking, я подумала. Now, if you're a male, that would be я подумал, and if you're a female, that would be я подумала. If like plural, мы подумали, like this e. You want to say I will think about it, я подумай. So there's easy ones, like it's always a pair. There's easy ones, and then there's some they're completely different. They have no they're not similar at all. There are quite a few irregularities in Russian, I have to say. I've seen languages where it's worse, but it does have irregularities. I mean, every language has some. Second part of the grammar are the cases. Russian cases are known to be really tricky and difficult, and I have to say they really are. But I mean, the verbs, like the fact that there's two verbs for one action is really hard too. So it's definitely valid that Russian grammar is seen as one of the hardest grammars on planet Earth, and I do agree with it. And but I have to say, with time, if you do it regularly and consistently, it will become natural to you. So Russian has 6 cases. There are nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, instrumental, and prepositional. Now, each of those cases, I know in English cases don't exist. In my language, which is German, cases also exist, which are the genitive, dative, accusative, and nominative. So I already had like some base, but they're still completely different. Like, not like we, for example, we don't have prepositional and instrumental case. Dative is like to whom. Accusative is, for example, я иду в школу, this part here. We have nominative. Nominative is just, it doesn't change. For example, студент читает, the student is reading. This one doesn't change. Then we have prepositional, and like the name already says it, this case comes after specific prepositions. You'll just have to learn them. For example, мы говорим о фильме. We're talking about the film. Instrumental, which is either with who or with what, like how are you doing something. For example, я пишу карандашом. I am writing with a pen, with a pencil. That would be a pencil. Because ручка is pen, карандаш is pencil. Or я говорю с подругой, for example. I am talking with my friend. Those are the cases, and yes, you will have to learn them. You will have to also learn the verbs if you want to speak correct Russian and not like your Russian fell on the head. But they're not something you should overly focus or stress on, because a lot of people do, and then they still speak zero Russian because they have no vocabulary and they don't understand people because they again, no vocabulary, so how would they understand them? Both are important, but go with vocabulary first and make sure to also do grammar. Now, one of the most important things you will do is a lot of listening. So to learn Russian, you will have to listen a lot to the language to know how certain words are pronounced, how grammar, like how it's like built into the sentences, the Russian stress and everything. And you will just listen to it a lot. You will have to if you want to learn it. And also a tip I can give you, the thing that literally completely changed my Russian is I've seen a girl talk about this on YouTube. I don't remember her name. I was talking about every time you like listen to a podcast in Russian or a video, you want to make sure it's not too long, not more than, I think she said, not more than 10 minutes or something like that. And then you're just going to take a piece of paper, a pen, and then you're going to write everything down using subtitles. Like you're going to put subtitles on, and then you're going to be writing everything on your piece of paper, and then you're going to be translating the words you don't understand. And you're going to watch the video again after you translated all of those words. You're gonna watch the video, podcast, whatever again, and then you're gonna follow, but this time with the text you have and a translation. And this really does help. It's time consuming, really time consuming. I remember sitting there for 3 to 4 hours doing that, but I would say it paid off. Another thing a lot of people stress about is their speaking, how they can improve their speaking. A lot of people never speak because they're scared that people will judge them, the people like that speak the language fluently. But I can guarantee you that most people will be excited, and like they will be really interested into why you even like wanted to learn the language. And especially with Russian, like Russians themselves know that Russian is a really hard language, and most of the times they will even praise you for that. In my case, most of them were shocked that I even decided to like learn it. And I even got mistaken once, like there was a Russian girl. She thought my parents were Russian and that I was Russian and all that, but I'm not. So that's definitely a compliment, and especially after all the hard learning, getting that compliment was really encouraging. Exactly. So how to improve your speaking? You just have to speak. That's it. There is no magic secret or whatever to it. You just have to speak, and that's it. If you want to better your speaking skills, you will have to speak. If you really want to exercise first, then record yourself talking with a phone, and then listen to it again and again. And then there's also like some apps you can download where you can be talking with people. Like for example, if your like native language is English, there's a lot of Russians on those apps that want to learn English, so you can be speaking English with them so they can learn, and they will be speaking Russian with you so you can learn. And please don't be scared of talking. No one will judge you. It's crucial, and you can do this. Yeah, to finish this video, I'll just make a quick summary. Learn more vocabulary than you do grammar. Still learn grammar. Don't think that you won't have to learn grammar, because you will have to learn grammar. Just don't obsess over it. And you will have to listen and speak a lot. And if you wanna like better your reading skills, there's a lot of books or texts you can find online. You can even go buy Russian books and everything if your bookstore has some, and just read those. But please don't try to read like Dostoevsky, big Russian writers, because they will use a lot of old and vocabulary that Russians don't like themselves don't use anymore today. Just confuse you, you won't really understand anything. So please start with smaller books, smaller stories. Another opinion on people saying, yeah, well, then just learn Russian or any language as if you were a kid. Like, don't do vocabulary, don't do grammar, just watch shows and read children's book. Now, you're not a kid anymore, are you? You're not gonna learn the language like a kid. I didn't do that. A lot of people that I know that learn Russian didn't do that as well. They also don't recommend it, and especially with a hard language like Russian, it doesn't work like that. For example, if you would want to learn a language that is more similar to English, that would maybe work, but you will still have to put some effort. But with a complete different language like Russian, which is like completely different from English, except if you have a Slavic background or something like that. But if you don't, you will have to learn a lot, and that's totally normal. The day you will be speaking Russian, you will be really proud of yourself for putting all the work in. If you guys want the resources I use, the websites, the YouTube channels that I use to get my information from, because I learned it by myself and like online at home, and not I didn't go to courses or anything. So if you want all those resources, just comment, and I will be answering to your comment with all the YouTube channels that I used and the website names. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it will help you guys. Yeah, see you guys in the next video. Bye.